Hey everyone! Okay, so ever since my whole UK situation, I have gotten a lot of flack from people who love to point out my affinity for borders and my criticism of mass immigration. I was reminded of this whole debacle the other day when the Southern Poverty Law Center published an article basically doing a month in review of my life, calling me a white nationalist, alt-right dog whistler, the whole lot of their favorite words, because I've been talking about the farm murders in South Africa, which it just frustrates me to no end. It is not a white nationalist position to care about the murder of white people. What is an extreme position is to claim that caring about white deaths is an alt-right Nazi agenda of some sort. You have to be falling way off the left side of the political spectrum to actually believe that. I would never accuse even an organization like Black Lives Matter of being extremists just because they want to talk about the murder of blacks. What makes them typically perceived as extreme is when they show up to events and chant for the death of cops, which SPLC, if you ever catch me doing that, if you ever catch me chanting for the death of anyone, go at it. Feel free to publish as many hate watch articles about me as you like. But until then, it's a pretty darn moderate position to say this group is disproportionately facing an issue, therefore we should maybe focus some resources and investigate why this one group is facing that issue. That is just peak middle of the road reasonable position, which is why I actually have a lot of moderates and people who aren't politically involved at all supporting my work in South Africa. But anyways, beyond the SPLC calling me all sorts of names, out of my South Africa reporting, as well as my UK ban, I have received some genuine critiques and questions that I want to focus on. One being, wow, Lauren suddenly seems to care a heck of a lot about immigrants now that they're white. And two, gee, Lauren suddenly seems to hate borders now that they are being used against her. Which, I guess looking at this from a seriously superficial level, I can see how this would make me look like a massive hypocrite, especially to someone who is just reading a headline about me. So I figured for the sake of those who maybe haven't seen as much of my content and are wondering if I am actually a hypocrite on these points, I think it's fair that I address them. So let's start with numero uno. I tend to be of the mindset that a nation should protect its identity, its history, its culture, and put its immediate or historical population first before considering taking in immigrants that could be a burden to it, or appeasing recent immigrant populations who have not assimilated. So if you look at these positions, why am I so supportive of a minority group within a nation that they are not native to, i.e. white South Africans in Africa? Shouldn't I be taking up my nationalist torch as I love to do in Europe and rallying for proper native Black Africans trying to reclaim their nation from whites? Not quite. If you look at most of my content criticizing immigrant ghettos in the West, for example, the Turkish segregated zones in Germany like Marxloh, I'm against them for the reason that they quite literally have no allegiance to the nation they live in. Many don't even bother speaking the language, and I am 100% convinced that if Turkey and Germany went to war, Marxloh would be pre-conquered land. It would just be a write-off, not even German territory anymore. And beyond that, this is ignoring the issues of welfare, crime, and terrorism altogether. Just looking at the first issues I mentioned, this is not sustainable. And if things continue in this direction of mass immigration of unassimilated people, Germany will collapse from civil, political, and economic unrest. White South Africans are very, very different to groups like this. They have been in their nation for hundreds of years. They helped create it. They fly the South African flag proudly, and were even there before the Zulus, who make up a large amount of the African National Congress, the party that are now trying to take white land on the basis that it belonged to them first, even though it didn't. Afrikaners also financially contribute to the nation. They are certainly not coming into the country en masse and taking over in any sense. If anything, they are leaving it in droves. So to compare recent immigrant groups to Europe, which I often criticize, to white South Africans is really, really intellectually dishonest. And even if we did assume or say that these two immigrant populations were exactly the same, I still would not support murder and theft against recent immigrants to Europe or America or Canada for that matter. That's ridiculous. I have never once advocated for that. I truly believe that when my ideas are represented honestly and not through the filter of far-left journalists and media publications, my position and reporting on South Africa is not hypocritical in the least. And I think it's very important that people realize that, because I don't want any confusion about me to take away from what a serious and underreported problem this is. I don't want people to be able to so simply brush aside the actual suffering and problems of a people just by calling me a hypocrite, especially when it's an inaccurate accusation. But anyways, now that that is out of the way, what about them borders? I have staunchly supported borders for a long time. I've wanted border security enforced, I've wanted background checks, I've wanted walls, electric fences, moats, alligators, sharks with laser beams, the whole lot of it. Yet suddenly, when it's used against me, when I'm the one being questioned as a terrorist, when I'm the one being locked out of a country, I get all upset about it. Vice publishes a piece on border control enthusiast banned from crossing UK border. Memes are made showing that I'm just a dummy who got what I was asking for. And tweets went viral saying, "My deepest sympathies to Lauren Southern, a gigantic moron who travels the world telling other morons not to let people from other countries in on not being allowed into another country." Even when I did a phone interview with the BBC, they asked me, "Lauren, can you now sympathize with all the migrants coming in who are denied entry to the UK?" And it really was all quite cheeky and funny at the time, until I realized people were actually taking this seriously and thought I was getting BTFO'd, as the kids say these days. So I really should clarify that not once in my entire political career have I ever advocated for border controls to be used on legal visitors to a nation, let alone legal migrants in general. I'm against mass immigration of unassimilated populations and illegal immigration. If you can find a video of me anywhere on the internet saying, "We need to use our borders to restrict visitors who speak the language, love the culture, are attempting to enter legally, and only want to stay for a short visit," then I will delete my whole YouTube channel, because it's a pretty safe bet that those videos don't exist. So no, I do not see my positions on border control as hypocritical in this light either. It actually baffles me how people think this quip is so clever. If you cannot see the difference between adorable little Brittany Pettibone trying to legally come have crumpets and tea with me in London and 10,000 Somalis illegally showing up on the shores of Sicily with no passports or background checks, I can't help you. That's on you. There is literally nothing in this video I could say that would help, other than maybe start wearing a helmet when you leave the house, because it is a dangerous world out there when you have a sub 40 IQ. Seriously though, I'd like to think these people know they are being intellectually dishonest. Vice journalists can string a sentence together, so I'm pretty sure they can tell the difference between this and this. It's just that they don't care. They don't care what the facts are because it makes for a fun headline that will get shares when they make fun of myself, Brittany Pettibone, or Martin Zellner, and that's what matters to them, not the truth, unfortunately. And for those of you out there who are interested in truth and just genuinely didn't know my positions on immigration, I hope this has clarified some things for you, because I really am always up for criticisms, and I can assure you I have been a hypocrite before in my life, To err is human. However, when it comes to immigration and borders, I'd say my positions are pretty sound and defensible, which is what makes this so frustrating, is a lot of people don't get to hear my opinions for themselves. So many people that are sharing these memes that are joking about me shooting myself in the foot by getting blocked at the border, they will never actually get to see this video. They just get to hear all my arguments filtered through the lens of dishonest far-left journalists, which also portrays the views of many people who share my opinions as extremist, far-right, whatever it may be, when really these are just opinions of what would have been classical liberals 50 years ago who just don't want their nations to collapse. So I just thought it would be really important to clarify these points. Even if not everyone who has these misconceptions will see this video, at least some will. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess I will catch you next time.